Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. This is, probably shouldn't be throwing around scissors. This is Adam Ratliff with Adam So Fun, and welcome to my chaos. We're leaving for vacation in 8, 9, 10, 11, in 3 hours. And I was like, I have to get this video done. I've been on vacation mode for probably a week because I've been home for a few weeks. And I was like, okay, get up, get dressed, make sure you're packed, go make your video, and then you can edit it this afternoon when you're in vacation in sunny San Diego, although I don't think it's going to be that sunny, but whatever. Welcome back to the channel where you can learn all the types of tips for long arming, domestic machine quilting, thread things, I don't know. You just learn a little bit of everything here at Adam So Fun. You get to meet some of my friends. If you haven't, please down below, like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you're notified when new videos drop. I do drop a new video every Friday, or at least try, barring like extreme circumstances, videos come out. But I do a lot of things. I do giveaways, and I answer all your questions if you ask them. So yeah, like me. If you haven't yet, follow me on social media, Adam So Fun with an SEW on Facebook and Instagram, where you see a lot more things that don't hit this channel, just because this channel takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and all that jazz. But today, we're rolling back a few weeks. We talked about this quiltable print at home designs. I will link all this below, like always. But if you might be able to hear my dog barking in the background. Ben is vacuuming, and Barry loves to bark at the vacuum. But we are going back to those print at home designs. So these were quiltable print at home designs for those of you without robotics, or maybe you do have robotics and you want to practice your free motion. Maybe you have robotics and you have a million designs. But you also have Pro Stitcher Designer. You can go into Pro Stitcher Designer, make these blocks whatever size you want, print them out, and then you have your own designs at home. But these are for those of you who want to buy a print at home from Quiltable. Remember, code ASF10, that's ASF like Adam So Fun, ASF10 will save you an additional 10% off your purchase when you're shopping there. And thanks for all of you who use those, because I do get a little kickback on that. Quiltable print at home designs. So when we did this last time, I showed you a block, I showed you a panto, we did the video where I quilted the panto. Let me go grab that quilt. I have to say, for the quilt being as just easy strips, I really like this quilt. You can't see it because I match the colors, but this is the fireplace design. And I'll post a picture up close so you can see, but it's just some fires, and it's a panto. I did it edge to edge. It was actually kind of fun. It was the second time I've used a panto, and I think I might do them just for fun sometimes. But let me say, Pro Stitcher, start and go, so much easier. But you don't learn the practice that way. But today we're going to talk about a block. So in the previous video, we talked about your pattern. When you get the pattern, you get 4 pages. Pages 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these are all info pages. They tell you about the print at home. They tell you how to connect it. They give you examples of how to use them, how to make stencils, all of that. So we talked about that in that last video. I'll link that video down here. I believe it's called Quiltable Print at Home. But in that video, I took my 4 pieces, and this is sketched block 4. Sketched block 4. I took my pieces, I taped my pieces together to get my full piece because the block is 12.5. And then I took some golden threads paper. This is a pattern paper that you can use. You can trace and stitch and make stencils. You can stitch right on it and then rip it out as if you're paper piecing. There's a ton of options. You can make templates with this, although it is a little thin. Most of the time I'm making stencils with this that I'm going to use with my Pounce Pad. So I took that, I laid the design, or I laid it on top, and I traced the design just with a pencil, nothing crazy. Then I took it to my machine. So here's my design. I took it to my machine, my domestic machine, and I stitched it with no thread in the needle. So I just made some puncture holes. Now, one thing you have to consider when you do this, if you trace it and then you take it and you stitch what you traced, your stencil's now the reverse. So I turned this upside down and I created I stitched it because I want those puncture holes facing up, because as I rub the Pounce Pad, which is This is like a chalk pad that we're going to rub across our stencil so we can get our lines. But as you rub across that Pounce Pad, the Pounce Pad rubs across those perforations, they'll grab some of that chalk out of the microfiber that's in there, and that's how you're going to get your chalk into your stencil. So I've already done that. Here's a little video. Dun, 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 dun. So now that that's done, my stencil's ready. Yesterday, I'm about to sneeze. So I was wanting to do this on the long arm, but alas, I have a quilt on the long arm. So that is definitely not going to happen today. So I created this block. I'm knocking thread. This is a bunch of thread that I'm using on this project, but then all my so fine thread. So here's my block. I'm going to create a quilt sandwich, because again, I can't do it here, so I'm gonna be working on my domestic machine today. But this is my backing. I'm gonna use some Frankenbat. I just grabbed 2 pieces of batting because I didn't want to open a whole pack for this. And when I do this, I'm just gonna lay them on top of each other. We'll find out what it looks like later, and if this is a good method. I've used it in the past if I needed a strip at the very bottom. If I knew how I was gonna stitch it, I can usually tell if I can get in there and kind of make it not noticeable. This might be noticeable. This is just for practice. I'm just showing you something, so I don't mind that. And it actually is a good lesson. We can look at what it looks like later after it's quilted and see if we like this method. They do make batting tape that is like a tape that you tape the 2 pieces together, so it is flat and you can't tell. So if I had some batting tape, I'd probably use it. I don't have any. Some people will zigzag these together to hold them together. The thing with that is that if you zigzag, you're going to press that seam, so it's going to be pressed in the middle and then puff up on the side. So if you're doing something too puffy, maybe a wool, that zigzag is really going to show in that wool because you've just compressed the centers where you've stitched them together. So there's a lot of different techniques. Whatever one you want to do works for you. I am going to just pin base this really quick, and then we'll come back because I want to show you how to use that Pounce Pad and that stencil, and then we'll take it over to the machine and stitch it out. So we'll see you here in a second. All right, so here's my little mini. It is already pin basted. I already know I'm going to poke the crap out of myself because I have already been doing it while pinning this. As you can tell, I don't do this a ton, and that's why I have a long arm. So this is my Pounce Pad. Here's my stencil. So I'm going to stick my stencil on, and I want to center it as best I can. My block is about 13 because I made it a little bit bigger than 12 and a half. So I'm going to look and see how, so it's about 13 and a half because it's unfinished. So I should have about 1 inch from the edge of the longest point over to the edge of the block. So I'm just looking at spacing on the top and bottom. As long as everything looks pretty good, I like that. So now I'm going to, how these work. You fill this area up with chalk or chalk substitute. When you first get it, it's clean, so you're gonna just leave the lid on it and hit it in your hand like 50, 60 times. That starts to distribute and disperse that chalk inside your pad through the microfibers. Now, before I use it, I'm gonna hit it in my hand once, and that is the only time I pounce. Now, I wanna make sure everything's held down. I'm going to take it and I'm going to slide. My perforations are up. I can feel them. I'm going to slide across my stencil. If you feel like you might shift it or anything, you can put a pin in it if you want. And now when I pick this up, there is my pounced design. It is chalk. It's going to come out. I believe this is actually the iron-off chalk. So if I hit it with an iron, it's going to come out. So now I can see my lines, and we're going to see how good I am. Again, I have a long arm for a reason, or I have a movable machine for a reason. I am not great at this. We did this a few times on our domestic machine and realized it wasn't for us, and that's when we ended up buying the Infinity. But we're going to jump over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch this out. All right, so here we are. Here's my quilt top. Here's all my chalk marks. I'm going to blow them off a little bit. I don't know why I did 2 passes. That was stupid. But I did it. Whatever. So I am using my Bernina, my 590 today, because it's what was here and it's what was hooked up, and I didn't feel like changing. I'm going to slide some of my junk around, making space. And remember, this is only a 13-inch block, and I'm like making space. Again, one of the reasons I bought a long arm, a framed long arm. All right, so let's see, foot down, needle up. Let's bring up our bobbin. There we go. And I do not want to sew over that pin. I'm going to do just a few tack down stitches. Now, if this looks horrible, we're going to blame it on something else. And honestly, I just don't even care. Because what do I always say? At the end of the day, it's just quilting. So I'm going to start stitching. I could probably slow it down a little bit because those are really tight stitches. I'm going to take this pin out because I don't want to sew over pins. I'm going to take this pin out. I have to say, it's already looking better than I thought. I do want some bigger stitches. Oh, I like that. Okay, I like that a lot. In real life, I should have probably practiced this somewhere else. And I'm just sliding around. I'm going to follow my lines. Now, I do not have a regulator on. I found that when I'm doing stationary stitching like this, again, I don't do it that often, that I like to be able to just pedal to the metal. So I set my speed on my machine where I can pedal to the metal and then move, and I get a nice regulated stitch. This does have the Bernina stitch regulator. On the long arms, like on the long arm stationary machines, I usually use those regulators because they work a little better than what this one does. So it's all personal preference. If you like to use that regulator, then use it. I just find that when I'm doing this, it's not for me. Oh, I do like that stitch. Also, when you're doing a curve, be it a domestic machine or a stationary machine or a framed machine, don't stop in the middle of the curve like I just did. In some cases, I'm going to have to stop. I'm going to have to pull some pins out. But if you stop in the middle of the curve, it's really hard to keep that curve continuous. So try to get to a point. So I'm going to start looking now. I can whip around to this point, see where I'm going. This I'll have to stop in the middle of the curve. I don't want to take the pin out too early. So I'm going to stitch to here, come down, take the pin out at about maybe this intersection, because then I can swing out of it. And just like in the long arm, You don't have to try to do the whole motion in one fell swoop. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to stop and readjust, especially when you are going in curves and thinking about where you're going to go next. Stop, reassess, see where you need to go. I can swing around, hook here, come around, and then I'll stop to pull that pin. I'm looking at for my dots. I'm going to pop, swing around, and I should be able to do my little hop here, swing all the way around to this point before I have to pull that pin. I can't tell if my dots are the dots on the fabric. I am taking a slight hesitation in those corners as well, because when I go in the corners, I want to make sure I get a nice sharp point, and it kind of helps me direct myself out of that corner. The thing with these domestic machines, or even a stationary machine, is that you have a little more control. You can place each of those stitches pretty easily if you have a specific place you want to keep them. Well, I lined this up, but I can't see my lines. I don't know why I went that way. Swings out. So I'm just going to continue along this. I'm going to speed the camera up because I don't think you have to watch me do the whole thing. But enjoy watching me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm almost done. But no, I'm not. I have half of it to do. So I'm going to speed you up. We'll see you back here in a minute. Alright, so now I'm done. I'm going to pull out my extra pins. And since I'm on my domestic machine and that this is just this block, I'm going to go through and I'm just going to stitch the edges in a basting stitch so that I have those down. Let me see, did I get all my pins out? Because if not, I'm going to poke myself. Okay, good. Well, I guess I need to cut everything. Ugh, this looks good. like I said, it looks a lot better than I thought it would have. So I'm going to just base this. I will see you all back here in a minute. All right, so here's my block. I'm pretty proud papa right now of my block. I'm like Vanna. Yeah, I mean, it's, for someone who doesn't do this a lot, not super difficult, especially the whole print at home. Remember, the Quiltable ASF 10 will save you an additional 10% off that purchase. Remember, the making the stencils and stuff, that's the easy part. Using the Pounce Pad, that's the easiest part. Quilting the thing, I did it. If I can do it, you can do it. I mean, is it perfect? No. Is anything I do perfect? No. But yeah, for those of you who have like a Moxie or a Simply 16 or a Sweet 16 or a Capri, and you haven't added automation to those, or you can't add automation to the stationary machines, this is a really good way, easy way to get more designs into your repertoire. Did I say that right? But get more designs into your design library that you can use. You can custom make blocks, you know, all that fun stuff. I'm excited. I'm excited. Am I going to do this a lot? No. Might I do it every once in a while on something small like this? I might. I like it. In real life, I would have used a thread that probably matched one of these colors. And now I know, don't start in the center because you can see your tie-offs. If I would have started, you know, here, we wouldn't have seen this big clump right in the dark purple. But whatever. I will post pictures of I will put pictures of the front and the back on here. I'm saying I'm pretty proud. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'm sure I'll do something for the dogs. Ooh, it could be a little placemat for Ozzy's water and food bowls. Also, I will post a up-close photo of where that seam is, because remember, I just laid the two battings together. I can tell where it is right now. I can fill it in there, but if I just look at it, if I lay it down and just look at it, I can't really tell. So I'm going to put an up-close photo of what I'm talking about, so you can make your decision if you want to use batting tape, or if you just want to, I call it Frankenbat the things together. But as always, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you're notified when new videos drop. Don't forget to follow me on social media, Adam's So Fun with an S-E-W on Facebook and Instagram, where you see a lot of things that don't end up landing on the YouTube channel. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's just quilting. We want to laugh. We want to have a good time. I'm on vacation officially now. Thank you. We'll see you next week for a new video. I don't know what it'll be, but I have to record it next week while I'm on vacation. And if you are on Facebook, I do Facebook Lives Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific on my Adam So Fun Facebook page. So make sure you check in. I'm always answering questions. And this month or this week, we'll be sitting in front of the Pacific Ocean. So we'll see you on Tuesday if you're someone who subscribes to those. Everybody have a great one, great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye.